Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
Hey gang, welcome back. I hope you're having a great day. When I wrote and recorded this intro, I was having a pretty good one. I've also run into some not so great days in the last few months, and maybe you've noticed that. I hope this week's episode puts another tool in your mental health toolbox, but more on that later. Support for this episode is provided by our friends at Wild Ass Soap Company. As you already know, Wild Ass Soap Company is my friend Justin Harris and his wonderful family. I've liked to use natural soaps for a long time. And when I found Wild Ass Soap, all the problems I had with mass-produced soap and much of the farmer's market soaps went away. Like, I don't know, it's great you handmade this soap from palm oil. Yeah, I'm not so much into that. When I wash myself with Wild Ass Soap, I know I'm not putting any nasty chemicals on my skin, just healthy all-natural soap. If you aren't using Wild Ass Soap Company's tallow-based soap, are you really getting clean? Get your own today at www.wildasssoaps.com/reboot and use the coupon code REBOOT for an extra discount at checkout. That's coupon code REBOOT. Click the link in the show notes. All right, my guest today takes us on a journey into the subconscious and how things that live there can affect our lives every day and we don't even realize it. Valerie Grimes is a hypnotherapist with 20 years of experience. She grows her own food, has some chickens, so she's kind of one of us. Valerie dispels some myths about hypnosis and shows the difference between a stage hypnotist and a hypnotherapist. Valerie also shares valuable insights into addressing subconscious negative habits, shifting mindsets through therapeutic techniques. Valerie also reveals how subconscious programming affects emotions and behavior and how the mental health challenges unique to farmers and ranchers. I've got a session scheduled with Valerie coming up real soon, and she's working on some things that might be able to help some of us deal with life, the universe, and everything. So stay tuned at the end for a special offer from Valerie. That's it. That's the business. Now here's what you came for. Well, hi, Valerie. Welcome to Ranching
Hello.
Reboot.
Hi, thank you.
How are you this morning?
I'm well. You know what? I went back and looked. I have been listening to Ranching Reboot since episode 66 back in May of 2022. So I've listened to probably 100 episodes, and it's just really exciting to actually be on the show because I'm not a rancher or a farmer.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. A little bit different of a guest having you here. So yeah, you're not involved in farming ranch.
Should we tell them what I do? Should we tell them?
Yeah. What do you?
Okay. I help people with their mindsets. I help people change whatever stinking thinking they got going on, whatever negative habits that are just unconscious that seem to be playing out over and over again, to pause, reevaluate, and maybe create some, well, not maybe, but for sure, create some new positive thoughts, feelings, and responses that allow freedom to, be happy, healthy, prosperous.
Okay. And I'm sure it's not near as simple as you just made it sound.
Yeah, that's very true. There has to be the wanting.
So
yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, so, how do you do that? Right? How do I do that? And I work with people's subconscious minds. Consciously, people believe they have to think through things and they have to figure it out and they have to push forward. But a lot of times that's like trying to push, a broke down tractor up a hill. and it's just never going to get up there. It's so funny how when I'm talking about farming and ranching, my grammar gets bad. Broke down tractor. I am from Texas, so that comes out sometimes.
Well, I don't think anybody will hold that against you. I mean, I don't have a problem with the great state of Texas, just
Oh,
for the most part, I suppose.
okay. Okay.
So
Well,
you said you're a hypnotherapist, not
yes.
hypnotist. What's the difference?
Okay. So when people think of hypnotist, I believe their mind goes right to stage shows and kind of corny things they've seen on television, which is terribly sad, that we have that kind of mindset about it. Hypnotherapists are much like traditional therapists in using the same techniques, only in a state of mind that allows access to the subconscious mind where all of our beliefs, habits, responses are since birth. I help people help themselves. There's very little that I actually do. When the conscious mind stops trying to think and analyze and rationalize, we are able to open up that unconscious where we're creative and and where we have the power to change those old ideas. I know that might sound like just a whole lot there.
Okay, I kind of have my own ideas of, the conscious mind and the subconscious mind.
Okay.
I'm probably wrong. Can you explain the differences?
Okay. So the conscious mind would be like a cherry tomato, and the subconscious mind would be like one of those giant heirloom tomatoes in relation to size. So the conscious mind is like 10% of what we do every day. It's the thinker. The conscious mind will think, analyze, make a decision, but the subconscious mind is asked to carry that out. So it's the doer. And when our unconscious or subconscious mind is programmed to match that thought or the idea, we have success. When it's not, we procrastinate, we pick up smoking, we eat badly, we watch too much TV. We're trying to, we're subconsciously sabotaging. So there's many things that all of us do every day that we think, oh, I'm going to go fix the water system. You were mentioning two bulls had a fight, and you know what, you had the thought, I need to fix it, and you just did. Like your unconscious mind knew what to do.
Well, let's back up.
Okay.
Okay. This morning, you know, sometimes when these podcasts are scheduled in the morning, it can be a challenge. Like, okay, do I have
Yeah.
enough time to go to the ranch to check things? Because I think everybody listening knows, like, you can, if you have an hour, you're like, oh, I can get there back. I can get that water tank looked at. I can look at the cows. I can do that. No problem. But you're only one oh crap away from your whole day or whole schedule being messed up. Um, so I had I wasn't really going to go out. I was going to wait till after this before I went out. I had time this morning, and was that little intuition said, hey,
Mhm.
maybe you should go out there real quick. Just run out there real quick and take a look. So I did. And good thing I did, because like you mentioned, I had a couple bulls in a water trap. That's what it looked like happened, because there was one on one side, one on the other side, and they were kind of pawing the dirt, and they were looking at each other. Pretty easy to figure out what happened there. So I fixed the fence, checked the water tank, had to reset the float. No problem. And I made it back. But why did my intuition tell me to go out this morning? Now,
Mhm.
see, the more I listen to those gut feelings, to that intuition about, hey, go over there on that ridge and just look. Or maybe you should do this today. The more I trust that, like trusting my intuition has served me a lot.
Yeah.
And one of the things I was thinking when you're talking about how subconscious mind works, and I don't think I really realized this before now, is that where, like, when we say muscle memory, when we say, oh, they're just doing that, that's a task you're doing off muscle memory. Is that kind of the same thing as like a subconscious routine subconscious routine, or a program, or a bit of a program that your brain is just running in the background that you don't have to think about?
Right. Yes.
So it's like
It's easy.
driving.
Yes.
Like, we all drive.
Perfect example.
I'm sure there's somebody that listens that doesn't drive. Fine, you're a snowflake. But everybody else, when we're driving a car, you don't have to consciously think about that anymore.
Yeah.
It's just one
Or
of those things.
walking.
Yeah, sometimes I got to think about walking, especially if I'm chewing gum at the same time. But it am I on target there?
You are. And I love that you brought up intuition, because I think one of your shows early on was talking about how your dad, or I know your dad does this, and maybe others too, where they just go out and just look and kind of can sense what needs to happen. And, I do that with my hens and my okra and my other vegetables. I just look and observe and can kind of sense what to do. And that's very primordial. I mean, we were born like that, and the modern world has just tried so hard to take that away from us. Um, just on a side note, during stupid COVID, I had my practice was going down because I do in-person sessions in Dallas, which was totally all shut down. But I live in Collin County, which is more north, and we were all open and doing whatever we wanted to do. But I would take people on what's called hypnotic trips. I would say, hey, we're going to hike 5 miles at this location, and let's get outside. Let's connect to the earth. Let's connect to, our creativity, and let's let some stress go. So I call them hypnotic trips. And I had quite a lot of people going on these trips with me. Then when everything opened up again, people were like, oh, we have other options now. So no one wanted to hike anymore.
You say trips, and I'm hypnotic hiking trips. I'm thinking like there's mushrooms involved.
No, there were not. But yeah, I got a lot of social media attention. I'll say, come on a hypnotic trip with me. Yeah. And they're disappointed. They're like, oh, we have to walk. Well, never mind. I'm not coming.
Well, it's a trip. What did you think it was?
Yeah. um, so the intuition is vitally important. And some would argue that it's the subconscious. Some would argue that it's more of the super conscious, or our souls, or something. That's way too metaphysical. So, but it is there. It's that gut feeling. It's the tap on the shoulder. It's the whisper in the ear. Hey, turn this way. Let's go this way today. And then you hear about an accident, or you can't find your keys, and you're late, and you realize, oh wow, I missed that, pile up that was on the highway. I could have been in that accident. So, what is that? I don't know. It's maybe more than just our subconscious, but I am getting a lot of calls, and have been for the last 3 or 4 years, for anxiety, stress and anxiety. And listening to your episodes as much as I have, and listening to the Corbett report on, the future of food and what's happening, and Kennedy's stuff, and just really realizing what's happening to our food sources. It's just putting extra pressure on farmers and ranchers. And I just want to, be able to explain a little bit how to rise up above that, and not be taken into that, kind of negative stream. We have to all stay above it all and keep that expansive view. And, that's, I don't mean to say it's easy to do, but it can be.
Okay. What I'm hearing is you're talking about the corporate capture, big ag, like, I mean, 30,000 foot view, corporate capture of basically our entire food system, causing anxiety among producers. And let me explain that. So, here on the podcast, we talk about regenerative ag all the time. I mean, that's what we are, regenerative ag
Mm-hmm.
podcast. And a lot of the people that I talk to seem to be in a positive mental space. And, but we're concerned about things that are happening in the industry. We're concerned about consolidation, monopolies, monopsonies, and and market power of these big ag corporations. And I was just sitting here thinking, like, I'm not an Iowa corn farmer. I've never farmed corn, and I've only been to Iowa a couple times. So this is just me thinking and talking. If you're a big time operator operating on leased land with equipment with a note from John Deere in the bank,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to make a change when the whole system is telling you this is how it's got to work. We've got to do this. And it's like, to make changes for a lot of operators, it's like we have to fight 30 years of subconscious programming
Yeah.
of how we've been told that the food system works. Would you agree with that?
And maybe it's too late for those guys. Yeah, I wouldn't think that they're listening right now.
I mean, I hate to say that I don't have a lot of hope for, the 60, 70-year-old guys that are going to, for them to change their operation. I hate to say that, but honestly, I think that's the reality. Uh, you know,
Well, I will bring up that there have been some studies done out of the university, the Ag and Environmental Services College at University of Georgia, on I wasn't going to bring this up, but suicide rates among farmers, and I'm sure that's the category. They didn't have the ages, but um, there were 50,000 suicides in, I think it was last year, 2022, and 3.5 of those were farmers and ranchers. And I don't like that statistic, but I do know from listening to your show that most of the owners and operators are very upbeat and positive, and that's what really, um, is the seed change. You guys are changing, agricultural and the industry in the U.S. You really are. Uh,
it,
Thank
some
you.
part of me wants to say that a conventional farmer, that's going out pulling a plow, spraying a bunch of herbicide, it seems like they have a lifestyle and they enjoy that lifestyle. There's nothing wrong with that. But it seems like there's maybe some friction. Like, I wonder how many people, how many farmers or even ranchers are suffering from a lot of internal mental friction because
Mm,
deep down they know what they're doing isn't
yeah,
the best way.
that must be a miserable way to be.
And you mentioned suicide, and it's a difficult thing to bring
Yeah,
up. I mean,
I
I
didn't want to, but
don't even like having that word in the transcript because it's probably going to, it might push us down in the rankings, but it needs to be talked about. I mean, it has to be talked about. So I'm a veteran. I'm a Navy veteran,
Mhm.
and I'm an ag. And for as long as I've been alive, ag has been one of the most, dangerous as far as workplace injuries, and other things like mining, logging, heavy machinery operating. I dabble in those too. And being a veteran, that does kind of up the risk factors a little bit. It just seems horrible that we have so many people that have nowhere else to turn. I mean, and it's even affected us here. I don't think there's a community that it hasn't affected in the last 5 years, honestly. I don't think there's very many people in ag that can say all my friends are still here that they were
Mm,
5 years ago, or
mm.
everybody from our community is still here. And God,
It,
it's
you know,
it's really hard to talk about.
I wonder if there's some stoicism going on, with that older market not wanting to ask for help, maybe, just pride and not knowing where to turn, probably kind of turned off by the idea of therapists. And oh my gosh, I don't have time to drive 2 hours into town. Um, so the hypnotherapy that I do is through a set of recordings that I create. So you put them on and listen as you're working, really, as long as you're not driving. But um,
You're not going to
we
make me
have.
cluck like a chicken, are you?
Oh no, only if you want to. So let me talk about that. Thank you for that. So we have to get that out of the way. So, on those stage shows, first of all, the stage hypnotist is trained differently, but they will say, "Hey, who wants to come up here and be a volunteer?" Well, the people who can be hypnotized are the ones that are jumping up and down and say, me, pick me." They love to please people. They want to be the center of attention. They're easily suggestible. People who are not are just going to sit in the audience with their hands folded on their lap and just watch. And um, so there's something called a post-hypnotic suggestion, and I use it too. So the post-hypnotic suggestion is anytime you hear your phone ring, you're going to cluck like a chicken. And so the subconscious is absorbing this, and they want to please the hypnotist, and they're thinking, well, what's the harm in that? So they just do it.
Okay.
That eventually wears off. In my sessions, I would say something like every time you step outside or step onto your ranch or step into your farm or onto your farm or whatever, every time you do that, you feel this, amazing feeling of resilience and vitality and excitement and blah, 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 blah. So that's a positive hypnotic suggestion, because resilience is such a wonderful, fun energy to have. And, when we first start anything, when you're like the first month or year of you working on your ranch, excuse me, there was that excitement and just, you really didn't think about it. You're just going, going, going. You had a guest that was on maybe a month ago, and he was talking about that. He said, I didn't really read anything about how to do it. I just got out there and just started doing and then learning, oh, okay, don't do it that way, do it this way. He was allowing his excitement, his resilience, his energy to move him forward. And, after we're in it for, 5 or 7 years, we can kind of lose some of that. We kind of become cynical and think, oh, that's not going to work. I've tried that, or I'm tired, and so I just want to help people understand that it's just all in your mind. And so because it is, you can do something about it. A positive focusing, um, a positive refocusing, because those negative emotions are like pouring pesticides and herbicides on the soil, and eventually it just doesn't give back anymore.
Okay.
It was a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. That was kind of a bit. Um, so how does the subconscious mind originally get its programming?
Oh, good. Okay. There are 4 ways. Imagine when we're born, there's nothing in there. There's some, primitive things, maybe a fear of falling, but that would be about it. Our natural instincts are there. Um, so as we go through life, everything we watch and experience through our caretakers, we take in They're called imprints, and so they are registered in the unconscious as I'm good or I'm bad or that's right or that's wrong. So our parents, our teachers, authority figures, religious leaders, um, authority figures will imprint or implant in our unconscious all kinds of things. And we're too young to, have the critical factor and say, well, that might be what you think, but I'm 4 years old and I'm going to still think my art's really good. My purple cow is a really great picture. So that's one way. Another way is even after childhood, anything we experience under intense emotion. So something really bad is happening, and we will create an imprint in the unconscious with maybe objects or, in the example of post-traumatic stress disorder, right? So firing fireworks, right, is a trigger for gunfire, perhaps.
And that's kind of what I was going to say is it's almost like, a PTSD response.
Yeah,
It's
it is.
it's a post response to stress, not necessarily a traumatic stress. I mean, I I I look at cardboard boxes alongside the road like with a little bit of suspicion, not because I've ever had to deal with IEDs, just because, hey, that's a little bit weird. That's out of the ordinary. But I could see how somebody that had spent a lot of time in Iraq or Afghanistan would get really freaked out if they saw a cardboard box right alongside the road. I can I can see that, I even yeah, I'll shut up now. But that's I guess that's how I see it. It's like there's various degrees of stress response or post-stress response, post-stress. I mean, and it doesn't even have to be trauma, right?
No. You could have a bad memory of eating something, and maybe you ate, pork and got really, really sick. So you have this aversion to pork now, or whatever. Sorry if there's any pork producers that don't mean to say. I used to have a bad response to pork because my mother always told me that, it was a dirty animal and some kind of religious weirdness. But I met a rancher that is in North Texas at the flea market. Farmers market. Farmers market. And they're a beautiful family. It's called Simmering Ranch, and they're pork producers. And their three sons are there, husband and wife, their three sons, and they're selling this pork. And I bought some, and I'm like, I'm gonna try this, and it didn't make me sick. And I almost want to cry when I think about that because, that's producing good food and healthy food. As a family, I love that family, and I see them all the time, and I just, anyway, sorry about that. But so the other ways the subconscious mind can become fixed on an idea is something called identification and association. This is perfect for a lot of the older generation, and I'm in that category. I'm be 62, so I get to say that about other 60-year-olds. My dad always did it that way. That's an identification and association. Or like, I'm Scottish. I'm half Scottish and a quarter Polish. Those are very frugal people. So was I born with that frugality, or was it demonstrated to me? And some people can use that as an excuse, like, well, I can't change because, I'm Scottish, I'm Polish, or I drink every day. That's what Irish people do. So the subconscious gets fixed on those, but those can be broken and in hypnosis. And then the fourth way is through repetition. So anything we hear over and over again, anything we do. And if you think about the lockdown and all that happened, all four of those were totally used, and there was a great amount of mass hypnosis that was happening. amongst most of the population.
I-
So it was interesting to
That's
watch that.
great you brought that up, and I remember that from one of your videos.
Hmm.
And what I took from that, about the repetition, okay?
Hmm.
I'm reminded of a line that says, "A lie repeated often enough will have the power and authority of truth."
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, and I can see your point, how maybe there was a little bit of mass hypnosis going on. Wear your mask. Everybody wear your mask or you kill grandma. Wear your mask. You don't want to get other people sick. Wear your mask. You're supposed to wear a mask. Hey, where's your mask? You
Hmm.
hear that often enough, and unconsciously, you grab that stupid face diaper and you stuff it in your pocket before you go to town,
Hmm.
just because you don't want everybody else questioning you about where your mask is, even though you know that it's
Yeah.
not doing anything.
Yeah. You don't want to feel the shame or the guilt for not participating.
And it could be argued that there's some other levers being pulled there, but I could see how the media uses mass hypnosis, or a form of mass hypnosis, by repetition of a mistruth in order to make us believe it.
Yeah, fear is one of the greatest motivators there is. I mean, I was in advertising before becoming a hypnotist 20 something years ago. And, we knew that people, while they're watching TV, it was television ads back then, were in a trance. So we would feed them some emotional, desire. Our product meets some emotional desire. And then there'd be a little bit of conscious reasoning mind strategy, like, you're going to be so much safer with this product. And by the way, you can buy one, get one free. So people will say, oh, the buying strategy was, oh, I got a good deal on this, but they really bought it because they needed to feel better.
Because sexy,
So it's,
beautiful people use that product.
yes, yes. So it's funny. I was sort of hypnotizing people my whole career, didn't know it, but um, so emotion is our driver. Fear is a horrible motivator, and I help people get out of the fear and step back into their ability to see things from a different perspective, to have a positive focusing and a positive momentum, excitement, eagerness, again, resilience, creativity. And, and and I see a lot of that naturally just in a lot of your guests, that they have that. And, to be able to hold on to that would be, a question. The first thing that destructive that happens, does all hope go out the window? Are they able to get back on their feet again and get their minds directed again? You know.
Little tangent. Have you found differences working with people that would be, say, neurotypical versus neurodivergent?
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
You mean by neurodivergent, like not
ADHD,
wanting
autism
Oh, okay. Okay.
spectrum.
Sorry. I'm not familiar with those terms. Actually, I get a lot of people that say, I need help with this, but I'm ADHD, I'm ADD. Are you able to help me? And it just really depends on what their motivation is and their commitment to the process. A lot of times, I will use someone's tendencies um, to help them. Like people say, I'm really stubborn. Great, then let's use that um, to assist you. Let's get stubborn about this thing over here instead. Or, while your conscious mind is focusing on these 15 other things while I'm talking, that's fine. Your subconscious is listening. and you don't have to focus on my words. So it really is more important, the reason why, their motivation, to make some changes, and then we can overcome those kinds of things.
Okay.
But someone who's kind of a psychotic, I probably couldn't help them. I'm not a psychiatrist, by the way, or even a psychotherapist.
I'm not even, what's the difference?
A psychiatrist can prescribe medication.
Okay, and a psychotherapist just listens. Okay, that makes sense.
And says a few things.
So I think it was in one of your videos, you said that hypnosis is a state of mind that allows access to that wherein the person can decide what to do with that information.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Can you unpack that a
Okay.
little bit?
Okay, so let's say you were in a trance. And by the way, a trance is like driving long distances, watching in your vehicle, driving around the ranch. You're in a kind of a trance, watching a movie, and really being absorbed in the content of the movie. So in that state, a professional hypnotherapist may guide you to, maybe there's a money issue and you can't seem to get above a certain amount of money that you want to make. And so the hypnotist could guide you to the reason why, and it's just behind the door, so to speak. And on the count of three, we're going to open that door, and you're going to know the reason why you're blocking wealth. 1, 2, 3, doors open. And I'll ask the question, what's there? What are you feeling? What are you sensing? Is there a visual? And the subject has the ability to say, I never even saw a door. Or they say that because they don't want to really work on the reason why. We get around that, but that's what I mean by that, is that even though they're in a hypnotic state, a trance state, which is like, again, watching a movie or driving long distances or reading a book, they are still in control and can decide how to respond. It just means another session. I don't mean to laugh like that, but I'm just saying it's a process. And so, my gosh, here's this person lying in my recliner, and I'm having them look at some very old ideas and things. Maybe they don't want to admit why, because they'd be dishonoring their father. What are we offending? What are we defending or protecting? I had one client who couldn't make more money than his father because he felt that was insulting to his father. So he only made about what his father made, even though he was quite capable of making 3 or 4 times. And so we had to reconcile that. And his father was not even alive any longer. So it's fascinating how those ideas get in there and they just run the show. And the man had no clue, absolutely no clue that was why. And so we changed that. We're able to say, well, that was information that you took in when you were 8 years old or 10. And is that still valid today? And you get to see those, you get to understand how those beliefs, those imprints come in. And then you have the ability to stand back and say, with your current adult reasoning mind, well, that doesn't make any sense. And it's fascinating how quickly you can actually change those old ideas. I call them old, outdated ideas.
Okay. While you're talking, it got me thinking about, I guess I listen to Joe Rogan podcast a lot. I listen to another great podcast called Cleared Hot. And they talk, I haven't really talked about it a lot lately, but they've talked about like ibogaine and ayahuasca.
Okay.
And I can't help but think that a lot of what you were just describing, like the process of, discovering some of these things in the subconscious and uncovering how they are informing your current conscious and decision making abilities, and like these things that might have been in our subconscious since we were 8 years old. That's why I don't eat pork, or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like uncovering these things and dealing with them so you can move past them. It sounds a lot like what I've heard from an ayahuasca experience, where, but it, and
But
on
you don't have to throw up.
that's what I was getting at. Like the whole ayahuasca thing sounds a lot less pleasant.
Or go to South America or Central America. It's a lot more value, better use of your time.
Well, I mean, you get a trip to South America out of it and get to go see some cool
Yeah.
stuff. I mean, there's also
Yeah. If you were
benefit.
going to go there anyway, why not? Give
But,
it a try.
if in order to get there, like the whole purpose of getting there is so you can go do ayahuasca, barf your brains out for 2 days. Ugh,
Yeah.
that's a little bit different of a trade-off. But no, I was, because what they talk about when they talk about with ayahuasca, and of course I've never done it, is they talk about ego death. And,
Yeah. Hmm.
and ego, to a large part, is that part of our brain that's making, well, I don't know what's ego. You work with brains more than I do.
Well, the ego actually can be a very helpful part of us. I would call, in my work, I would call it more of the shadow self or the adapted self that has adapted to all of these environments and imprints that we've been exposed to in order to survive. And those parts of us get very fixed on doing it the way that they want to do it. So to me, it's more the death of that part of ourselves that's the saboteur. I do in my sessions something called ego strengthening because we want to feel independent. We want to feel powerful. We want to feel sure of ourselves, confident. But it's the shadow parts of us. So there's just a little bit of somatics, I guess, of wording there. The thing I don't like about medication or ayahuasca or that other thing that's now being administered, I forget what the name of it is. It's another intravenous thing, is that we're still looking outside of ourselves.
And I know there's some places that are doing ketamine therapy.
That's it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what I'm saying is that it's still looking outside of ourselves for a solution and not looking within. I guide people within to find those counterproductive beliefs and et cetera, and to empower them to make those changes so that they just automatically move in a new direction in an easy, effortless way. So people that come in for smoking will just leave feeling, like the thought of cigarettes makes them sick, and we'll come back for the next appointment. And I say, well, how's it going? They're like, well, I don't really know. If I was hypnotized the first time, I'm like, well, how's your smoking habit? Oh, well, yeah, I'm only smoking like 2 a day now. It's really weird. It's like, well, what was that? So it's so effortless that they don't look at it as, oh, I got hypnotized, so now I can't have a cigarette. It's the unconscious is just not smoking. It's not a big deal anymore. I don't mean to make it sound easy.
You
Because
just like reprogram the subconscious to take away that desire.
yes, yeah, by creating another desire for life without them. So there's something called the law of dominant effect. And it is that the mind will go towards the dominant emotion. So just like water running down a hill will go down the biggest rut, the largest rut. So the desire to smoke, the desire to drink alcohol, the desire to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and eat a chocolate cake out of the refrigerator, that emotion is the strongest emotion. And people would say, well, it's not, I don't want to do those things, but it really is the strongest emotion. That's why we do it so easily. So in hypnosis, we're creating another emotion of freedom and control and power and confidence and all those things, which, we kind of hype up a little bit and do a little ad campaign subconscious to get them all excited about being a non-smoker and the freedom, blah, blah, blah. And you're in control, not that little white stick full of shredded tobacco running you around,
Yeah.
And they just, because they really want to quit, right? And most of them don't even have withdrawal symptoms, because I say that's just an effect of the mind. If you think you're going to have them, you'll have them. So let's just not think that way.
I wish you were around, was it, got to do math, 19 years ago when I was quitting drinking. Because if I could have done that without withdrawal and the DTs, it would have made it a lot easier.
Wow, that's tough. That's tough, Brian. I had a really heavy drinking problem also. Bad one, like pint of Jack Daniels in the dashboard, in the glove box or in the Jack Daniels box, It's like, it's so weird to think that was me. I thought it was cute that I just could turn up a pint of Jack and go for a hike or
There's
go
nothing
to work.
wrong with enjoying it responsibly, but
Oh,
when you're cracking a beer at 9 o'clock in the morning,
yeah.
that's a sign.
Yeah, I actually wrote a book about my alcohol dependence, and it was called Licking Honey Off a Razor Blade.
Okay.
And then I created the during that writing of that book, I created my a hypnotic program, hypnosis program for alcohol dependency. And that's how I helped myself. I thought, well, if I can help people stop smoking, why can't I help people stop drinking? And there's a whole bunch of stuff there about what the National Institute of Health wants to tell us about alcoholism, but I'm not going to go down that path.
I need to take a quick break.
Okay. Okay, me too.
All right, we'll be right back then.
Okay.
And we're back. So we were just talking about addiction. And I was kind of thinking, I guess the question I had was, you've been doing this for 20 years. You've helped people stop drinking. You've helped people stop smoking. I'm assuming probably somewhere along the line, you might have also maybe helped some people stop using illegal drugs. Are there any commonalities? Are there commonalities as to why people abuse substances?
Yes. That they don't feel worthy, that they've lost their sense of worth. And so they turn to what makes them feel better. And when people come in and say, I'm a really horrible person, I drink, all day long and my family's suffering, I said, well, you just wanted to feel better. And that's how you've chose to feel better. Now let's find a better way.
So are you saying that
it's a soothing, it's a comfort. People just want to feel better, but it's an
escape.
It's an escape from reality. But what I tell them is, I'm not going to help you stop drinking. I'm not going to help you stop, that slow death, from these things. I'm going to help you like yourself more. I never say love yourself, because that seems like a stretch, because they're very full of a lot of shame. But I'm going to help you like yourself more. And when you like yourself more, you won't want to do those things to yourself. And it's really true. Help them release the guilt, the shame, and just to know that they have a choice, in that what they'd chosen in the past is over. They have a new freedom to pick something else. I don't really believe in, I know DTs are also really dangerous, and if someone is drinking that much, I will have ask that that person to see a doctor and to be under a doctor's supervision. But most of the people that come to me for that are realizing that they're starting to finish that whole bottle of wine every night when it used to just be two. And they don't want to go down that path. I call them almost alcoholics. And most people don't want to stop. I help people just to have one or two glasses and be satisfied, but that really doesn't work. They really have to stop for a while.
Saying like
And
being
yeah,
a little bit of an alcoholic is like being a little bit pregnant.
exactly. You
Or
are or you're not. Yeah, yeah. You have a drinking problem or you don't. So
I tell myself to quit drinking, but I don't listen to drunks. One of those things.
and to be clear, I don't treat alcoholism. I'm not certified or licensed to do that, but I help people with their dependency.
Because the dependency is not the problem. The dependency is a symptom of another problem, and
Yeah.
it always is.
And unfortunately, those are the things that do not get addressed in those expensive 30-day treatment programs.
Well, those expensive 30-day treatment programs, they need people to come
They
back.
keep
Right?
coming. Right. They tell them relapse is a part of recovery. That is a powerful hypnotic suggestion.
No, it's not. No, it's not. I don't believe that relapse is a part of recovery.
Good. It certainly doesn't have to be.
I mean,
But if you really want to drink and you're there because someone sent you there, you're going to go, okay, see how many times I can relapse before, I actually have to be recovered.
yeah, court ordered. Like, oh, the court made me go to alcohol treatment. Not that they, not from personal experience, but and that doesn't work because the desire,
Yeah.
the person doesn't have the desire to change that behavior to correct. They're just being told, you will go to alcohol treatment, you will go to drug rehab, not addressing the underlying cause of why the person drinks or why that person chooses to do
Right.
drugs.
Right.
Doesn't solve a problem. Like, just get a slap a band-aid on it.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but I was sitting here and it's just like the overall industry, right? We have a capitalist society, and one of the problems with a capitalist society, or the way that we've kind of like engineered our world and our economy to be, is there's always profit in treatment. There's a lot of profit in treatment of chronic disease, but there's not a lot of profit in cure. There's not a lot of profit in preventative.
There's not. How do you charge for that? Although I think in Chinese medicine, the acupuncturists from the old days were paid to keep the person well, and if they got sick, they had to treat them for free. So they had that right. I don't know if that's true, but
Man, wouldn't that
kind of
wouldn't that be cool if Obamacare did that? Like,
yeah.
yep, it's as long
Yeah.
as long as you do what we say you to do, and you're going to stay well, you get free medical care. But if you want to go
Yeah.
eat fudge rounds and drink Mountain Dew all day and get type 2 diabetes,
$500 a month. Yeah.
on the hook.
Exactly.
I get
Exactly.
behind that.
That's why hypnotherapy isn't covered by insurance.
Because it works and you don't have
Because it works. You kind of opened that up, and I've got to go there now. And I may make a few people that have been in AA a little bit mad, because it does work for a percentage of the population, but it is, based on, 80, 90, 100-year-old thinking, and we know a lot more about the way the brain works. But I want to talk about the diagnosis for alcoholism.
Okay.
That came in the 50s when so there was a TB epidemic, and they created all these tuberculosis wards. So when that got all healed up and cured, there were all these big institutions that needed to be filled up with someone. So Marty Mann, who was with the National Institute of Alcohol, something, got with the AMA, Medical Association, and they had the problem of people who drink too much, was not called alcoholism then, made a disease. They had it categorized as a legitimate disease so that they can get insurance to cover it, and they could put them in these 30-day programs, and that's how it all started. Not how AA started, but how this incurable disease idea got started.
Well,
and that's terribly unfair.
Come to think of it, because I did have a little bit of actual danger close experience with alcohol treatment centers. I can definitely see it. Looking back, I can kind of see why those things work the way they do. Yes, a small percentage of people that come out of an alcohol rehab center don't drink for a time, but there's a lot of relapses, and they go right back to that same center. Oh, they helped me so much the last time. I'll go back there this time. They'll help me again. And it's just, we're not treating the symptoms. Now, my personal journey, went through AA, done most of the steps. And I'm not sure I ever got, I guess I'm not sure that my drinking problem has been solved. I just don't drink. And I'm not sure. I guess maybe I need to go back and I need to do some more reflecting on, like, why did I drink? Why did I choose to abuse that substance? Have I replaced that with something in my life that I just don't realize that's scratching that itch? And what was that deep-seated need to do that? Yeah. That'll be interesting.
Don't think about that too much. You could ask when you go to sleep at night for your dreams to resolve that. Our dreams are wonderful helpers. And I had a client that has this really strange thing. He has shy bladder, pee shyness. He cannot pee in front of people. It happened in hypnosis. He discovered it happened when he was 12 years old, and they were traveling in the back of a station wagon. And he was the oldest boy. And at 12, you're so self-aware, right? You're not 5. And his mother and aunt handed back a Coke bottle and said, "You boys just go in the Coke bottle." And he was mortified. And so he just said, "I don't have to go." And from then on, he shut that down. He's like, peeing in front of people is shameful. I'm not doing this. So we worked through, looking at it from a new perspective of now that he should have said, "This is inappropriate, pull over, take me to a proper bathroom," gaining control over that. But that night after the session, he had a dream that he was being wrongly accused of something. And he woke up and he was so angry. He said, "Oh, it's such an angry dream. And this is terrible. I was so angry in my dream. And I woke up and I was just so angry." And I said, "How do you feel now?" He goes, "I feel a lot better." And I said, "Well, you vented out that anger towards your mom and your aunt." And he goes, "Yeah, because I've been able to go." He said, "I went in your public bathroom before I came in." So the dreams are a wonderful way of, we can ask a question. What would it take for me to feel better about this or that? Or I'm going to dream that I'm going to find the problem or whatever and resolve it. And your dream state can do that. And you may not even remember the dream, and it doesn't matter, because days will go by and you realize, oh, things seem different.
What if I told you?
You're crossing your arms.
What if I told you that in the last, let's just say, I'm like 45, so that's what, 12,000 days? Let's just say out of the last 12,000 nights of sleeping, I can't remember dreaming in maybe but a handful of them. So what I'm saying is, I don't think I dream. I can't tell you when the last time was I woke up in the morning and was like, I had this dream.
I had a
Or
dream.
or even know that you had one. I,
Yeah, I
from
think that's
from
true
my
for a lot of
perspective,
people.
when I go to sleep at night, my brain just like powers down. Like there's no dreaming, there's nothing going on. And when I wake up, when I wake up at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, it's a clean boot.
Good.
So when people say, they talk about their dreams and dreams they've had at night when they're sleeping, not, daydreams, but, weird.
Dreams of the night,
Yeah, that does.
nightmares and memorable dreams.
I don't have those. And I don't know why.
Maybe you don't need to. I believe that dreaming is happening because that's how we sift and sort through things. The subconscious is filing away and throwing things out that aren't important and holding on to things that are.
Well,
And
trying
most
to
of that,
process things that maybe didn't quite make sense.
yeah, is processing. And then there's no need for you to know what's going on. It's happening unconsciously. Um, if you have a repetitive dream or a nightmare, it's usually the unconscious is a way of saying, you need to pay attention to this. Um, or the venting dreams, those typically only come after doing some therapy, because you're kind of stirring things up. And so the mind, the subconscious is continuing to work on a solution after the client's left my office. So those are when dreams sometimes are more remembered. But I give it a try. Just, say, hey, tonight I want to dream. Well, here's an example. Um, when people talk about how bad the weather is, it's really annoying to me. I live out here where there used to not be any homes around me in a double wide trailer, and people just have this assumption that I'm going to blow away every time some big storm comes through. Where'd they get that idea? And this house is new. It's anchored down. So anyway, I get all these calls and text messages. Are you okay? I heard there's a tornado warning. I'm like, really? Oh yeah, it is kind of greenish gray out there, huh? And it just annoys the crap out of me. I don't know why that is. And oh, do you have a plan? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go out into the chicken coop because that thing is built. That's a bomb-proof structure. So I'm just going to go out there. It really is. My boyfriend made it. So he goes, this is bomb-proof. So I'm just going to go out there and get in the chicken coop. And like my mother just goes nuts. She goes, oh, that's not safe. And I'm like, I'm not scared. So anyway, I had this dream. I said to myself, I want to not be annoyed anymore about people caring about me. There's probably some really deep thing going on there. Um, so I dreamt that night about snakes in my house. I know it's weird. Dreams are really strange. There were snakes everywhere. Open a cabinet, there's a snake in there. I was like, why are these snakes? I wasn't afraid of them. I got to be really annoyed by all the snakes in the house until at one point I realized, oh, there's just another snake. There's just another snake. And I woke up and I thought, why did I dream that? And hours later I went, oh, I vented out that annoyance.
The neighbors were snakes and you just quit caring about them.
It's just like, it's just a snake. It's just another person that's concerned and whatever.
You're not saying that your neighbors are snakes. It's just that's what happened.
I'm saying my mother, my friends, my neighbors are, I don't know. I love my neighbors. I live in a very heavy Hispanic community, and it's really always like a fiesta. And anyway,
So why do you care so much about ag and farmers and ranchers?
oh gosh, if there was reincarnation, I think I used to be a rancher. Because you guys are supplying our food system in a beautiful, natural way. And that's vitally important to me.
Okay.
I grow eat my own eggs. I don't eat my birds. But I eat the vegetables out of my garden and even forage some things that are just popped up because I'm restoring the acre that used to be a cotton field into native grasses. And I have blue stem. It's about 6 feet tall out here.
And you said you're in Collins County?
Collin County, which is North Texas. It's north of Plano, northeast of Plano. It's towards Greenville, Farmersville.
Like off towards Denton?
No, the other direction, east of Denton, almost directly east of Denton, kind of.
So that's Paris?
Not that far.
Okay. That we've exhausted the limits of my Texas geography.
I am south of Denison, about an hour.
Okay.
Denison is close to the Oklahoma border. Not the Oklahoma City side. Northeast Texas.
It was about 10 years ago the last time I was in Denison, and I had to take a friend down there for court.
It's becoming very popular. The area is overpopulated right now. It's really horrible to see. But so anyway, I'm restoring. It's Blackland Prairie, and I'm holding on to this last acre because it's disappearing quickly.
Well, you said that when you got there, you didn't have neighbors.
Right.
And now it's
and now there's about 5,500 brick homes that have gone in around us. And there's 30 of us on 35 acres, all trailers, some custom homes. But I'm looking right now and I can see, at rooftops where I could just see the horizon. But this is still a sanctuary, and I can have a rooster and I can do what I want. I'm still in the county.
Until they annex you, I guess.
Maybe I'll be grandfathered in. But I'll just sit on top of my roof with a gun and, hold on. So I love, my son has 30 acres. My son has 30 acres in East Texas, which is just under Paris. And his dream is to do, calf cow, or was what he was thinking of. He's the one that actually introduced me to you. The episode with Mike Calicrate. Am I saying his last name correctly?
Yes.
When he was talking about the food village and the Makers Village in Colorado. That was the first time that I listened, and I was hooked.
Gosh, I think we've had Mike on. I've lost count. I should go back and actually.
Yeah.
But I think 6 or 7 times we've had Mike on now.
Yeah, we need more mics, and maybe they're being created out there because you're such a great influencer, and you've changed my mind about a lot of things. And I'm using this information to change my friends' minds about factory farms and even other things that they think are like vegan is a choice, and anyway.
Well, and you've heard me say it 1,000 times. I mean, if it wasn't for feedlots and hog and chicken barns, animal rights and welfare people would have no argument.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah.
If they came out here to the farm set and saw how we keep our chickens,
yeah,
even how we keep our meat birds, I don't think they'd have a problem with that. If they came out and saw my cattle, saw anything on my ranch, I don't think there's an animal welfare expert on earth that would have any issue with what I'm doing on the ranch.
Yeah. And I have a friend that's he's been a vegetarian, and I've been talking to him a lot about this. And he said, yeah, those guys you're talking about, they need to show more pictures of how they're happy cows and the pastures, because people just don't think that way. They think feedlots and cages, because PETA's done a really good job of painting that picture. So keep showing happy cow pictures.
Well, I'm just sitting here thinking, okay, why are we where we are with the industry? Okay, why does PETA have those pictures to show?
Yeah.
Why don't they
They're
now?
real pictures.
there were a lot of states back in the late 90s that passed very similar ag gag laws or right to farm laws. And, they sell it like, well, you can't tell me how to farm. Okay, that's great. We're a nation of free people. Okay. You can't tell me how to farm. I can't tell you how to ranch. Great. Nobody's going to do that. But on some level, they are being told how to farm. They're being told how to farm in college. They're being told how to farm subconsciously, till the time they're 10 or 12 years old, and that subconscious, like, and that critical period for programming the subconscious happens, which I don't think we really got into, which maybe we should. A lot of ideas are set pretty early in life that we build on later, throughout high school and throughout college. And then when we join the workforce, like, these ideas get set and we don't know where they're set from. We got to feed the world. We got to produce more every year. Okay, that's great. But where that leads us to is that pushes everybody to town, just leaves a few people out farming, running big machinery and big acres, which I think is the wrong way to go. I think the right way to go would be to try to maintain the number of people we have in agriculture and maybe grow that. And it's great that there's a sign up here on the interstate up on 35 up in the Flint Hills. I haven't been by it in a long time, but I remember when I was a kid, I'd drive by it and say, one Kansas farmer feeds 50 people. And then it was 5, and then it was 100, then it was 125, and now it's over 150 people.
Oh.
And I would argue that farmers don't feed anybody, that most farmers don't feed anybody. Most farmers grow feed to feed cows in the panhandle, either in a dairy or in a beef feedlot, or they grow ethanol that we're going to put in a car, which, I mean, we can get into how silly that is some other time. But so where I'm going is, we teach people we got to grow food. We got to grow healthy food. We've got to take care of the soil. We got to be good animal, we got to be good to our animals and be good practice good animal husbandry. But then we layer on the economic realities of life. Like, okay, if you want to be a farmer, this is the way you're supposed to do it, according to how the land grant colleges teach. Big machinery, big acres, fertilizer, herbicide, clean fields, big yields. That's what they want. And it drives people out of the industry.
Yeah.
And, industry organizations and USDA can say, well, they couldn't compete, or they didn't want to innovate, they couldn't invest. It's not always just that. There's a lot of government picking winners and losers. And the policies that have been put in place, and whether this is an intentional effect or whether this is just something that happened, right? We're growing commodities, and it's like, we have this mission that we tell farmers, this is the mission. But what we're really doing is something completely over here, and we're being gaslit that we're actually feeding the world and being good environmental stewards. But then we're going to turn around and pull a 10-bottom plow through our land and spray a bunch of chemicals on it, watch it erode down and watch all that soil go down our waterways and fill up our ponds and our dams. Man, we got to feed the world. I raised 65 bushel wheat this year. I'm such a great farmer. But we don't talk about how much topsoil left your farm. We don't talk about how many invertebrates you don't have in your field anymore, or how many birds you don't have anymore.
Yeah.
There's aiming at the wrong target. Like, no sense in hitting bullseyes if you're not even looking at the right targets.
Unfortunately, it usually takes some big event, to get people to turn around, and like with drinking, or something else that, it's the DWI, it's the, oh my God, I was in an accident and I nearly killed somebody else, where they finally wake up and say, I've got to make some changes. So sometimes, we have to hit bottom to say there's got to be another way. The good news about ag and ranching, just from your show, is that there's so many people that are already naturally, easily turning the ship around. And for them to be able to stay in that positive mindset, to be focused on that big picture, because it's going to be tough, I think, swimming against the tide. You know, it's always difficult to be the only one, so to speak, that's doing things right. And
Being the only one doing things right, of course, and this is from, your own unique perspective, your ego, and then taking, let's just say, heat from your community about that. Like the people in your local group, like, oh, why are you moving cows every day? Oh,
yeah,
all those fences
yeah.
strung out. Looks like an awful lot of work. Not that I listen to people that say I don't have friends that do that anymore, but there's social pressures.
Yeah.
Oh, your field looks weedy. You must be a crappy farmer. No, they're just cover crops.
Yeah, my neighbors say that. Why aren't you mowing? And one neighbor said, "Can I buy the back of your property because you're not using it?" The bunnies and snakes, and I get my neighbor's goats to come over and graze every once in a while when I need a little bit of cleanup, and it's beautiful, right? But it is, you're um, doing something out of the ordinary, but that is so natural. It's sort of like you're the happy person in the room, and people think, "What's wrong with that guy? Why is he so happy?" You know? But being happy is our natural state. Being happy and healthy is our natural state. And we've really come to believe that that's something weird about that. Like, I am the weird woman over here growing my own food. Why would I be outside for hours and hours and chopping and freezing and canning and doing all this when you can just go to Walmart and get it,
Yeah.
you know?
Why would you spend all that extra time?
And I look at him like, I just don't think that way. It is the closest store, but I will actually go further to the farm, to Farmersville, to go to the Brookshires, when I do need something.
Does that place source from local farmers and ranchers?
They
Yeah.
have some, but to get things like olive oil, and I started milling my own flour, but I don't have a source of wheat berries. I wish I was closer to your guest that had those up in Canada. I think she was, or
North Dakota?
oh, North, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, Deanna
yeah.
and
She was
Kevin
cool. Oh my
Guardian.
gosh,
Well, they'll ship.
making pasta. I mean, my God.
It,
Talk about a positive mindset. Someone said, "Hey, do you have wheat berries?" And they're like, "Oh, you want to buy these and tub?" And it just all sort of snowballed in a beautiful way. And then she got on that positive mindset, and they just wrote it, and it just kept getting better and better and better. You know.
Staying in a positive mindset that's something that I continually struggle with.
hmm Okay, I have a solution for that.
What would be your solution?
Well, what I did was, and I twirl my hair when I'm thinking. Some people say that it's a sign of something else. Um, so I'm twirling my hair. I created a hypnotic recording, and I pulled out a 3-minute segment that is like self-hypnosis. So I can send that to you if you want to offer that to people. Um, but what it does is it has you remember a time when you were really successful at something, when you did something that most people thought you couldn't do, or you didn't think you could do it, and you did it. So you were feeling very accomplished, very successful, whatever the emotion is. And I kind of guide, not kind of, I guide people through that memory of just really remembering it with all their senses, so they can see it, feel it, hear it, whatever. And then we create a new positive trigger for that, or association, by anchoring it in with thumb and finger together, or a color, like every time you see the color red, you feel very successful or whatever. Maybe it's a symbol or a word. And so they're coming up with their new, post-hypnotic suggestion, their new association, so that every time they hear their phone ring, they feel amazingly accomplished, successful, and can get anything done. So it is starting the day, with self-hypnosis, starting the day saying today is going to be a really great day. I'm eager about the day. I'm excited about today. I feel really good. And it's those feelings that go in like attracts like. So the feelings we're going to feel our way there. And I know that sounds touchy-feely, but, that's how the negative emotions work. I've heard it said that worry is a form of negative hypnosis. You don't wake up and say, I need to worry about that. You just do. And it's chronic. Some worry is necessary. Oh, I'm really worried about this. I'm going to take care of it. And then the worry goes away. Same thing with anxiety. I'm feeling really anxious about this. So I'm going to take care of it. And then it goes away. So the difference between chronic and acute, acute worry, acute anxiety is natural and normal.
Yeah. I was just thinking, like, why is it so easy for our fragile human brains to dwell on something negative and to keep like reinforcing negative self-talk? Why does it seem so difficult? I mean, for me, I'm talking about me. Why is it so difficult for some people to get to a positive mindset and stay there?
It's the law of dominant effect. So the dominant emotion of fear or worry, not that clinically those are not clinical emotions, but that becomes the dominant thought and feeling. And so it's the fluid dynamic of the brain. So it just keeps that neural pathways really big, and it just keeps repeating until something stops it. So sometimes there's an event that comes along that throws us off, a sickness, and we get a great reset from that. We unfortunately have to have something really shake us up to make some changes. I went through personally this year one of those where I kept thinking, I met this man and I thought, oh, good, I finally have somebody to help me. I don't have to do everything myself anymore. But, we weren't moving in together. And I'm thinking, wow, it'd be really great if we both could live here and share the expenses, and I wouldn't have to have so much financial pressure on me. And he's still not moving in. He's not moving in. And so I kind of just got a little bit exhausted. And I thought, do I need to even want to do this anymore? And maybe I should just get a job. And this is too hard. And I'm really tired and blah, blah, blah. And boy, I got really tired and it got really hard. And people stopped calling me because who wants to work with a hypnotist that's going blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I got sick. My stomach got bloated. I couldn't eat. I felt like everything was just on my chest. And oh my God, I'm having a heart attack. I have stomach cancer. And I just went down this, and I thought, what in the F am I doing? Stop it. Stop it. You don't need to go to the doctor. You do not need to, change your job. You need to look at your freaking attitude. And I did. And I'm like, I suck right now. Totally suck. I got sucked in. And so I just started looking around. I said, I want to feel secure. I just want to feel secure. And I started looking around. I'm like, wow, looking around my house. You created this. You created this. I go outside. Yeah, Brian built all the structures, but you created it. I look at the food growing in the garden, a car that starts every day. I have a business, I get to go to Dallas 2 days a week and sit in my beautiful office. So I started looking at all the things that I created. I feel secure. Like right now, I'm fine. Right now, I'm fine. And it just kept expanding. And I kept feeling more satisfaction from that, and more satisfaction from that, and it took about 6 weeks. And I didn't talk, his name's Brian. I didn't talk to my Brian. I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't want to talk to anybody. Just leave me alone. And it took me that long. And I took walks, and just watched some episodes of The Office, you know, and I focused on meditation and reading some old books about, the history of hypnosis. And I'm realizing this is so amazing what I get to do. And people started calling again. People started calling, and my Brian did give me about $4,000 during that time. I said, I need some help paying the rent and a mortgage. And he did. He wrote me a check because you just need to ask. I'm like, hard to do.
It's hard for anybody to ask for help.
Yeah. So I pulled myself out of that and realized how really beautiful, my life is. And sometimes, Brian, I have to go through that crap so I can help someone else. And I tell you what, the people that are coming in now are exactly where I was 3 months ago. And I'm like, I know how you feel. And I can look at them in the eye and say, I know exactly how you feel. And we're going to feel our way out of this. There's something called the law of attraction. Those teachings are about the feeling, the feeling of, oh, I don't have any money, but feel like you do. And I should think, that's a bunch of crap. How is that even possible? But just searching for a little bit better feeling. And that's really the basis of hypnotherapy is finding that better feeling and the thought and the response that you want, and holding that and focusing on that. In hypnotherapy, we're doing that at an unconscious level. So it happens more rapidly than someone having to physically go, oh, I got to think about this positive thing today. Hard to do.
Yeah, very difficult to do.
Mm-hmm.
This has been great. We got to wrap up.
Okay.
Where can people find you? Where can people find you if they want to reach out and maybe schedule a session, learn a little bit more, or contact you? Where would you like
Okay. So my business is The Flow Center in Dallas. So theflowcenter.com. And the web is the best place to go. It's a link to some videos. I also have hypnotictrip.com, which is more my personal website. So theflowcenter.com or hypnotictrip.com. And both of those have access to email, phone numbers to reach me. And I can send you that clip, that 3-minute clip
Yeah,
that you can
please
put
do.
in the show notes. Yeah.
Please do, and I'll
So-
make sure we get a link to that in the show notes.
Thank you for all your great questions and your interest. It's really been pretty exciting for me to be on your show.
Well, thanks for your time. And I think we need to have some of these different perspectives, not just from people that are, ag adjacent industries, but people that
Mhm.
that aren't traditionally looked at as being anywhere close to agriculture, and some other ways that, to help us deal with
Mhm.
things that we're dealing with, uh,
Mhm.
inside of our own heads. There's only so much that, well, I mean, therapy's great. I go to therapy. My wife and I go to therapy. I go to therapy by myself. It helps.
Mhm.
This is just another tool in a toolbox.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like you carry around, I've got I got my bricks refractometer, I've got my grazing stick, I got my pliers. They're all just tools in the
Tools.
toolbox, and
Yeah.
you gotta know when to pull the right tool out.
Yeah. Good way to put it.
All right.
Thank you for what you do.
Valerie Grimes with the Flow Center. Thank you so much for joining us today. And
You're very welcome.
gang, have a great week. We'll see you on the other side.
What does it mean to be resilient? Where does it come from? And if you don't have it, how can you get it back? If you could wake up resilient, how would the outlook on your future be, on day-to-day operations? Remember when you first started out, you felt really resilient, strong, frisky, eager, energized, creative? What if you could wake up like that again? What would change? I'm Valerie Grimes, and I understand the effects of repeated long hours, difficult tasks, dangerous tasks, having to plan, market, profit, dealing with machine breakdowns, sick animals, sick plants, and all that time alone. Farming and ranching can be very lonely, and when you're alone with your thoughts, they can go off into the weeds pretty quick. As a lover of farming and ranching, I've created some hypnosis audios to get you excited about your operation again, to get creative, think out of the box, to release obstacles, to improve focus, to be happier and healthier. For more information and to download your audio, go to valeriegrimes.com, Valeriegrimes.